CJ Toben.
Tamahosh.
Lagasubat.
Hola opalejubilika Christmas.
No, CJ, that issue of gender, I think Makabanega Tambo, they had it, they will attend to it because these ones who come from parliament, it's them who are distorting the composition of the JSC. So it's something that parliament will have to look into. Mara, what I wanted to say, di kwa register but di le seje ba khala bele ba khekolo ba shale ba dilibele. Thobe.
Ke a leboga.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, sir. Advocate Thulare, I have a few questions. The first flows from what President Maya asked you.
Yes.
Supportive as you are of gender representation, we have two women advocates who have applied here, two African women. Would you favor a notion that instead of recommending you for appointment, we should rather recommend those two women for appointments since there are only two vacancies?
Similar to my answer to Commissioner Breitenbach, I leave that to the wisdom of the Commission, Chief Justice.
I'm sorry, sir. I know it's not fair. You are passionate about gender transformation. You are even a member of the International Women Judges Association. Would you, in view of your passion for gender representation, say, painful as it is, I'm going to give way to my two sisters so that they, instead of me, can be appointed?
If the JSC finds that the Western Cape deserves what the two women offer in the greater scheme of things, better than what Daniel Thulare can offer to the Western Cape and to the judiciary, I'll be at peace with that, Chief Justice.
Okay, sir. My next question, instead of reading something, I'm going to play a clip. Don't worry about the content. It's not about what you are advocating. I'm not worried about that. It is about the song itself. My question arises out of the song. Technicians, please play that song. My question is based on it. Is it
at
coming?
the next meeting of JOASA, as well as the next meeting of the SACIAWJ, I will be leading a song whose lyrics goes like this. Phakama mandisa maya, ixesha lisondele. Phakama mandisa maya, ixesha lisondele. In my view, the judiciary is bleeding and rudderless. It needs a calming leadership. I am of the view that South Africa is ready for the first African female Chief Justice. The current most senior female judicial manager is the President of the Supreme Court of Appeal. It is the woman, I think, the magistracy should unequivocally and unconditionally and unashamedly at this stage call on for the president to look at. There is a song whose lyrics goes, African woman, why give me Korobela? I think the beginning of the lyrics should remain African woman, but the last portion we should change. Give us justice. That would be the views of Daniel Mafele Thulare, and I will without hesitation be expressing them when I come back from the 6th of July 2020. All the best, colleagues.
Now, my question is very narrow, sir. Is it you in that clip?
It is myself, Chief Justice.
Is it correct to say that song is a song associated with a political party, the ruling party? It is a song that was popularized by the presidential campaign of President Cyril Ramaphosa when he wanted to be president of the ANC. Is it correct to say so?
Perhaps before I answer the question, Chief Justice, let me state the following. That clip...
sorry, sir. I'm going to be very fair to you. Can we agree that you answer my question and then I'll allow you to give whatever perspective? Let's just start on the narrow issue. I'll be very fair to you, sir.
I have heard it sung across political lines. That is correct, Chief Justice. That it was sung in political rallies, but across political parties, not restricted to a particular political party.
So it is not associated with the governing party, and it is not particularly associated with the current president?
No, not at all. And it was never intended to be.
Okay.
But
okay.
Can I please make this comment, Chief Justice?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
This clip falls in the same category as the document that Judge President Blambo earlier referred to. It is a WhatsApp voice message to magistrates serving at the Cape Town Magistrates Courts. When the president announced the lockdown, I was in the Western Cape, and I took a decision to lead my colleagues from the front, being in the Western Cape during the first lockdown up until towards the end of June. I was in the Western Cape. When the lockdown eased and the country could move and the courts could open, I then took leave of absence. Now, ordinarily, this would have been a tea room discussion. It was meant for the confidence of colleagues in a tea room in Cape Town. But because I was on leave, I was here in Gauteng, I learned that the discussion around the succession within the organizations have already started. I don't think Joasa was the only one, because although we do not formally engage, but informally across associations, we exchange notes. And the discussion had commenced within the magistracy. And The only way that I could make a contribution to that discussion was through a WhatsApp voice note. And that is the context. So it was never intended to go public. It was made in confidence. It is part of the deliberative thought processes towards decision making. That is its status. And most importantly, it was given to people who are members of the organization who owe a fiduciary duty and a professional as well as ethical responsibility to keep things confidential. And one of them breached that. And that's why it is now with the Chief Justice.
Okay. Now,
perhaps deliberately to embarrass Daniel Thulare, I do not know. But that's its status.
Okay, sir. Now, did you say, have you, okay, let me put it, have you ever heard this song sung outside political party circles?
Yes.
So you can sing it even outside the political, so it has been sung outside political party structures?
That is correct, Chief Justice.
Okay. Now, you were the one singing, you were the one saying the judiciary is bleeding and rudderless. It was not Joasa. It was your message to your colleagues. What have you to say about that?
That interpretation is incorrect, Chief Justice, because I am saying I will be leading. And you don't lead unless there are people in the choir. And as I say, I was here in Gauteng when I was informed that the discussion had already commenced and people made their views known. And I also made my views known in that discussion.
Okay, sir. Finally, following from the 2019 engagement,
Chief Justice,
regarding whether the magistrates
Chief Justice
were not, sorry, sir.
Yeah, it's Julius Malema.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how this is done because it was played here in public. It's unprecedented what you just did.
Yes.
And I don't know how to handle it because I thought people write objections and then they are given to candidates and candidates are given sufficient time to prepare a response. And I view that as an ambush. And I'm very uncomfortable about it. And it was done here in public. I know we can go and take up a discussion in our own deliberations, but I don't accept that. I'm very uncomfortable about it, and I'm very uncomfortable at the way it was presented. Has never, I've been here since 2014. It has never happened. It's for the first time. So I don't know whether in the language of lawyers is an admissible evidence that gets to be presented in this way, or what happens, because it can be that other people should follow a certain procedure when they've got issues with the candidate that comes here, and the Chief Justice has got a special procedure which he follows, because he was supposed to be given an opportunity that you are going to be led on this so that he can prepare sufficient a response like all other people who object. I don't know how we go about it. To me, it's unfair. And I will suggest that perhaps even when we go into the private discussions, it must not arise. It must be withdrawn completely because it didn't come through the established practices.
Yes. Well, for the record, it was on the 1st or the 2nd of April that the candidate and all the commissioners, including you, Honorable Malema, were sent the documentation and the clip that has just been played. So there's no ambush here. It may well be that you didn't access it, but it was sent to everybody. Ask the candidate whether it was sent to him. It was. There is a record of that. So there's no ambush here.
No, then it's fine.
There's no special procedure here.
If the commissioners received it and it followed a normal procedure and he had an opportunity to listen to it and reflect on it like the rest of others, then I withdraw my proposal.
Thank you, sir.
Chief Justice,
Yes, sir.
it's Singh here. And if I can recall, President Maya also gave notice to all the commissioners that she will be raising this matter at the JSC in writing.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Now, my final question, sir, it is to give you an opportunity to correct, if you are so minded, the assertion you made in 2019 during the interview that on the 3rd of October 2019, then nothing was said about the magistrates, nothing was said about their performance. In the prior communication, I refer to page 31 of the annual judicial accountability report that shows what the report says about the regional court and what the report says about the district court. And even in the speech I delivered, which I attached and sent to you and the commissioners, paragraph 25 made specific reference to the magistrates, and most of the time, I don't refer to judges, I refer to judicial officers, which includes both judges and the magistrates. So my only question is, do you realize that you were mistaken, or do you not realize that you were mistaken in your assertion that magistrates were not even mentioned, they were just sitting there, but nothing was said about them?
Chief Justice, if I recall, the context of the discussion was in relation to the performance as demonstrated in the document with regard to, and I was making a comparison of what was in the document in relation to the higher courts or the superior courts and the magistracy. It is in that context. If I gave, because I was away, as I said, I was at the meeting, I heard what you said, I had received the report, I had read it. I knew what stood in the report.
So you were aware that specific reference was made about the magistracy and about what could not be specifically mentioned.
The context, insofar as I understood the discussion at the time, Chief Justice, of my interview, it was talking to the performance of the courts. That's how I understood it. And the agreement on the performance indicators is in the document. I knew that. Remember, I participate in the meetings with Judge President Musi. So I know what the situation is.
Okay, sir. Now, thank you very much, Advocate Thulare. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry. President Maya has a...
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Thulare, I'm deeply flattered that you think I could actually lead the judiciary. Thank you. But I don't want my name to be collateral damage in this tussle between you and the Chief Justice. Would you please do one thing for me and tell this commission and South Africans just what role I had, if any, with this push by Jawasa to propose that Mandisa Maya should be the next Chief Justice? Please.
Thank you. I think the Chief Justice himself would attest to that. When Jawasa has its own internal discussions around the succession of the Chief Justice, we do not consult the candidates that we identify, neither do we speak to them. I'm making specific reference to the Chief Justice because even in the letter that the President of Jawasa wrote, that has been given to the commissioners would have noted that the President of Jawasa makes reference to the time leading up to the interview of the Chief Justice for this position. So the Chief Justice is well aware himself that Jawasa does not talk to candidates. We never approached him, nor he approached us to say, I want to be Chief Justice. So the same position prevailed with Justice Maya. We discuss amongst ourselves, and as I say, unfortunately, the document was leaked, whether generally or specifically to embarrass Daniel Thulare, the jury is out, but the document was a the thought process for Jwasa to make a decision. And I have to state here, President Maya was not the only candidate that the NEC of Jwasa discussed. There were other people. In fact, the other name is one of the JPs present here. All right, that was the discussion. But we were in the preparatory space. We have never discussed with anyone, and therefore we had never discussed with Judge Maya. In fact, I think Judge Maya became aware, if she received the leaked document when it went public, that Jwasa was actually discussing her name. But we don't generally discuss candidates with them or lobby them or go to them to say we are going to be proposing you. We have our own internal discussions, and once our processes are concluded, then we communicate publicly.
CJ, if President Maya is done, I want to make a follow-up.
I'm done, Commissioner Malema. Thank you very much, Mr. Thulare.
I would like to follow up on Justice Magoeng.
Yes, sir. Let me just have your name. Who comes after Commissioner Malema?
Mr. Dovu, Madonsela. I'll follow Madonsela. Commissioner Madonsela, CJ.
Nyambu will follow Dodovu.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
I just want to.
Honorable Malema, over to you,
I
sir.
just want to get a clarity. You said something like the current Chief Justice was discussed in the same manner Justice Maya was discussed.
Yes.
Can you take us through that process?
I'm saying leading up to his interview to become Chief Justice, at that time, as an organization within the legal profession, we also had discussions about who is going to follow Justice Chief Justice Ngobo. We have our own internal discussions. So yes, we discussed the Chief Justice. In fact, if you can, perhaps even if I recollect correctly, during his interview, Judge President Ngwepe read out a portion of Jwasa's contribution. The Chief Justice, to my knowledge, learned about that for the first time when it was read. We never consulted him. We don't, as a matter of principle.
Did we have a song for him?
we didn't sing for him at that time.
Thank you. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Honorable Malema. Well, Honorable Dodovu, I've written your name before that of Advocate Madonsela, so please go ahead first. I don't want to confuse myself.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief Justice. Some few questions from my side. Perhaps can you just share with us in brief, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Do you know the process of appointing a Chief Justice?
Yes, I do.
Can you just share with the Commission a bit?
The President makes a determination and thereafter discusses it with members of political parties.
You do know that this body, the JSC, ultimately is the one that recommends to the President?
Yes.
What would be, under the circumstances, the role of Jwasa and any other interested party in the process?
To comment on the candidate, which is what we did with the current Chief Justice.
Your singing of the song was based on how you are going to present your recommendation, your comments in the process.
Yes, it's preparatory work towards a decision, and that decision then, so that by the time the process kicks up, Jwasa is ready. Remember, we are the leadership. So you prick the members to start discussing, and then the discussions of the members come, they become collated, and then once they are collated, they are taken back to the members for thumbs up, and once it is there, then we are in a position to make a comment.
In the song that you were singing, you were just saying to the members, this could be our view. You were lobbying them that this could be our view in supporting whoever is the candidate.
Yes.
In that respect.
Yes, and remember, the organizations are democratic, all right? I, together with those that spoke to me, spoke to a name. It could be that during the deliberations, we could have agreed on a woman, but not President Maya. One does not know how the discussions would have unfolded. But you put your head on the block and say, this is where we are going, and for people to comment. And because it is a democratic process, and commissioners must bear in mind, the very organizations, all right, made the nomination for me to say, this is a candidate to be a judge.
And then this song that you are singing, it was not intended for any of these commissioners.
No. It was intended for magistrates within their organized professions. And specifically, the song was for magistrates of Cape Town.
And you were not intending to lobby any one of us, the 23 members here,
No.
about your preferred candidate?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm satisfied.
Thank you.
Advocate Madam Zelesi.
I'm covered.
Honorable Nyambi.
I am covered by Commissioner Malema, but I wanted to just...
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambi. Advocate Thulare, thank you, sir. You are excused.
Thank you. Thank you to the Commission for giving me an opportunity.
On a lighter note, maybe you should give us a song, man.
It is right.